Hello and welcome to UZREPORT.NEWS with me, Sayyid Rasul Ashrafkhanov. In our latest stories, the International Press Club discussed the 2020 budget. The Rotterdam office of the Turkish Industrialist and Businessman Association presented Uzbekistan's economic potential. Uzbekistan ranked 46th in the 2020 list of the world's safest countries. From April 14th to 17th, Bukhara will host a number of large-scale cultural events. Bukhara, the capital of Islamic culture in 2020, is set to be the headliner. Preparations are underway at the Ministry of Culture. It is now working with a delegation from the Islamic Organization for Education, Science and Culture. More than 300 guests from 60 countries are expected to take part in the upcoming event. Among them are those from global organizations such as UNESCO and ISESCO, along with secular and religious scholars, as well as heads of research centers. I am happy to come to Tashkent, as Bukhara is being declared the capital of culture in the Islamic world this year. We can see what serious preparations are underway to celebrate this event. Over the past 3 days, we have held talks at the Ministry of Culture in Tashkent. We also spoke with officials in Bukhara and Samarkand. The parties also discussed the publication of rare Islamic manuscripts and books about scientists of Uzbekistan in the Arabic, Russian and Uzbek languages. Other events include a conference, Uzbekistan's place in the cultural heritage of the Islamic world, and an international scientific forum, Uzbekistan as the center of the Islamic civilization. The Tashkent International Investment Forum and the meeting of the Council of Foreign Investors under the President have been postponed. Initially scheduled for March, the two conferences joined a growing list of global events to suffer from the coronavirus outbreak in China. The Ministry of Investment and Foreign Trade said the decision was made to prevent further spread of the virus. Both events are now expected to take place this November. The International Press Club in Tashkent has convened to discuss the 2020 budget. Public spending is expected to go into healthcare, education, transport and tourism. My colleague has more. Healthcare is a major priority and has been allocated around $1.5 million from the budget this year. The main problem that medical institutions face is the provision of medicines, as well as a lack of financial and technical resources. To solve these problems, it is planned to allocate 50% more funds than last year. The money will be used mainly for the treatment of blood diseases and cancer. Treatment of blood cancer, in particular, will receive an allocation that is 7 times higher than in 2019. Higher salaries and higher quality are the key priorities in the education sector. $1.9 billion will be allocated from the budget to the public education system this year. Some 90% of this sum will be used to boost salaries and other payments. The remaining 10% will be used to modernize the facilities in schools. Meanwhile, we plan to build or to renovate 310 schools across the country. Looking ahead, there are plans to improve the quality of higher education, in part through the reduction of subjects taught that are not really necessary. Other topics for discussion included tourism, where more infrastructure is needed, and transport. Initiatives include bus routes from Tashkent to Moscow, increased flights between the two cities, and improvement to rail services. The Central Bank of Uzbekistan will start working with commercial banks 24/7 on February 24th. From Monday, the financial regulator will conduct 3 types of operations: overnight deposits, repos, and swaps. The interest rate for overnight deposit operations is set at 15%, while those for repos and swaps at 17%. The Rotterdam office of the Turkish Association of Independent Industrialists and Businessmen organized a presentation of Uzbekistan's economic potential. The Uzbek delegation, led by the director of the Economic Research and Reform Center, was also in attendance. Association Chair Mustafa Duyar said Dutch entrepreneurs showed increasing interest in Uzbekistan. He spoke highly of the country's opening and said he was welcoming an exchange of experience and knowledge between the two states. Uzbekistan is of strategic interest to us, Duyar said. The head of the Economic Research and Reform Center in turn spoke of the country's economic development. Uzbek ambassador to the Benelux countries, Dilyor Hakimov, informed participants about ongoing reforms and the latest achievements. The Economist, for example, named Uzbekistan its country of the year, noting that reforms in the country have gained momentum in 2019. Participants of the event were briefed about upcoming major events in the fields of economy, investment and tourism. They were invited to regional investment forums in the Andijan, Jizakh, Navai, Namangan, Samarkand, Surkhandarya and Horizm regions. UK Ambassador to Uzbekistan Timothy Tolet visited the Uzbek Journalism University. Meeting with the school's officials, the diplomat spoke about recent developments in British education, journalism and law. The sides then held talks on potential cooperation.
The meeting was held in 2 rounds. In the first round, the Britain's ambassador met with the students and spoke about the developments in the UK's education sphere, legislation and journalism. In the next round, the university and embassy representatives held negotiations and agreed to cooperate in the field of supporting media development and student training.
Yes, my name's Tim Torlo. I'm the British ambassador in Uzbekistan. I've been here for 6 months now, but this is my first visit to the university. It's long overdue because the embassy does a lot of work in Uzbekistan to help to promote media freedom, to stress to government and to all parts of society the importance of the work that journalists do, to inform the population, to hold government and the authorities to account, to expose fraud and corruption when it happens, and we are fierce defenders of the rights of the media to do that in a responsible, active, energetic way. We provide quite extensive training programs, both for journalists themselves, so the sort of work that the university is doing here to prepare you to be good, responsible journalists for the future, but also working with government to help government to be better at working with journalists, to use journalism to explain to the people effectively what the people are entitled to, what the services they can access, and when things go wrong, to explain why that happened. And to plan better the way that government communicates with the media. So, we're truly committed to supporting media development in Uzbekistan, and this university is such an important part of that. It's the only specialist tertiary education facility in the country for training for young journalists. I think I want two things from my discussion with the rector. I think one is to understand a little bit about the history and the aims and the objectives of the university, and how you're changing, how all your new developments are going to change the way that you can work to support journalism as a university. And as I said, to understand whether the British Embassy might be a helpful part of working with the university to prepare really strong, fearless, independent journalists for the future of Uzbekistan.
The meeting concluded by signing cooperation agreement.
Uzbekistan's History Museum launched an exhibition of artifacts found in the Kashtepa II settlement in the Andijan region. These include unique findings discovered on the territory, which stores the remains of more than 12 centuries of successive settlers.
The exhibition features ceramic plates, stone household items, coins, jewelry, and iron weapons. The discovered artifacts offer evidence of a widespread development of the area during the period of integration of the Eyletan and Shurabashat cultures, which later formed the basis for the creation of the Davan state. The ancient finding is estimated to go back to 1500 BC. It was at that time that all the positive changes happening in that area led to the creation of a fairly democratic state in what is now the Fergana Valley. We know that the ruler of the state did not have absolute power and was controlled by the Council of Elders. Perhaps this is precisely what allowed the state to last a whole millennium. But despite the uniqueness of this historical object, it is faced with an imminent threat of total destruction. In 2009, the law on the archaeological heritage was issued. However, in the same year, the land plots located on the territory of this site were allocated for the construction of houses. This became a disaster. According to the head of the Department of Cultural Heritage of Andijan region, the case has been referred to the district prosecutor's office. We haven't taken the case to the court yet, but all the construction works have been suspended. This year, we are planning to transform the site into a museum and include it in the tourist route.
Uzbekistan ranked 46th in the world and first in the Commonwealth of Independent States in the 2020 list of the world's safest countries, published by the French portal Unsurli. The list includes 180 countries. Details in our next story. The ranking takes into account such indicators as the probability of natural disasters, the level of health, crime, terrorism, and transparent risks. Switzerland was recognized as the world's safest travel destination with an overall score of 93.4 out of 100. Placed second, Singapore scored 92.7, making it the safest Asian country. The risk of natural disasters on the island city-state was estimated at 93. Ranked third, Norway was rewarded with an overall score of 91.1. Uzbekistan received 70.3 points and ranked 46th. The Central African Republic, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and South Sudan were recognized as the most dangerous countries this year.
You know, they're trying to start a rumor. It's disinformation.
After U.S. intelligence officials warned Congress last week that Russia was interfering in the 2020 election to help Donald Trump, the president said on Friday that the idea Russia wants him to win re-election was another misinformation campaign launched by Democrats.
They said today that Putin wants to be sure that Trump gets elected. Here we go again.
Since the House Intelligence Committee got the classified briefing saying Russia was again interfering in an American election, Trump has fired his acting director of national intelligence, replaced him with a Trump loyalist with no real intelligence experience, and told reporters that Republican Congressman Doug Collins, who defended Trump throughout the impeachment process, was a top candidate for the full-time post.
This is a political impeachment.
But on Friday, Collins said he wasn't interested in the job. Trump's last full-time director of national intelligence, Dan Coats, resigned in July after differences with the president, who has often cast doubt on intelligence community assessments when they clash with his own views.
Can we be confident that he will not continue to try to cheat?
Just weeks after warning senators Trump would continue to invite or allow foreign election interference, Adam Schiff, the man who prosecuted Trump at his impeachment trial, said in a tweet, quote, "We count on the intelligence community to inform Congress of any threat of foreign interference in our elections. If reports are true and the president is interfering with that, he is again jeopardizing our efforts to stop foreign meddling, exactly as we warned he would do."
He will not change, and you know it.
The intelligence officials told the House Intel Committee chaired by Schiff that Russia wanted to cast doubt on the integrity of the 2020 election while boosting Trump's chances at a second term. A Reuters source said Trump's Republican allies were quick to cast doubt on the very idea of fresh Russian meddling. On Friday, Moscow said the new allegations were false, calling them, quote, "more paranoid announcements, which to our regret will multiply as we get closer to the election." Russia has also denied the U.S. intelligence community assessment that it used fake news and cyber attacks to help Trump beat Democratic challenger Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election, an allegation Trump himself continues to dismiss.
Here we go again.
On Friday, Clinton chimed in on the controversy, tweeting, quote, "Putin's puppet is at it again, taking Russian help for himself. He knows he can't win without it, and we can't let it happen." Later on Friday, the Washington Post reported that U.S. officials have told Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders that Russia is attempting to help his campaign in the 2020 election. In a statement, Sanders said, quote, "The Russians want to undermine American democracy by dividing us up, and unlike the current president, I stand firmly against their efforts, and any other foreign power that wants to interfere in our election."
Is a cruise your idea of vacation heaven or hell? Whatever your tastes, Richard Branson hopes he can entice you to set sail with the range of attractions on his first ship, Scarlet Lady. And despite the unfortunate timing of the launch, amid fears around coronavirus, Branson sees cruises as a growth area.
You know, we have fantastic dance areas, we've got fantastic theatrical areas, we've got for young people, we've got running tracks, we've got the best, fitness workout facilities of any cruise ship and so on.
Virgin Voyages ships will be aimed at the younger generation, offering a boutique hotel-type design with a festival environment complete with yoga studio, tattoo parlour and a nightclub. At a launch event in Dover in southern England, Branson said that Scarlet Lady would be based in the US and Caribbean, meaning he didn't expect it to be hit by any fallout from the coronavirus crisis.
I think the longer-term impact will be negligible. I think the fact that we're going out of America means that I don't think we'll suffer many. People are booking as much as they've ever booked right now.
Demand for cruising holidays has leapt over the past decade, with some 32 million passengers expected to set sail in 2020, a figure that has almost doubled since 2009. Branson is starting off with 4 ships for his cruise line, but says he could expand further.
Wells Fargo has reached a $3 billion settlement with U.S. authorities, making it one more step closer to putting its notorious fake account scandal behind it. The tarnished bank will make the payment to the U.S. Department of Justice and the Securities and Exchange Commission, U.S. officials announced on Friday, putting to rest one of the final major investigations into the bank's wrongdoing. In what is rare for a corporate settlement, Wells Fargo admitted that for 14 years it pressured employees to meet, quote, unrealistic sales goals that led thousands of employees to provide millions of accounts or products to customers under false pretenses or without consent. It also admitted that employees forged records or misused customer data. As part of the agreement, prosecution will be deferred for 3 years, and during that time, Wells Fargo will cooperate with any ongoing government probes. Bank CEO Charles Scharf, who was brought in after the scandal, said in a statement that his bank is now committed to making sure nothing like this ever happens again. The scandal rocked the bank, which once had a stellar reputation, and sparked contentious hearings on Capitol Hill, and more hearings are scheduled. The House Financial Services Committee is already planning 3 more hearings on Wells Fargo's conduct for next month.
These have been the latest from UZREPORT News with me, Said Rasul Ashraf. Thank you. Goodbye.